really don't know a man till you are subject to his power. Let me explain. You don't know a man, including your brother, your father, your coworker, your neighbor, son, until you've been in a position where that man has power over you. Want to know how a man is behind closed doors? Ask people who've been subject to his control. I'm so fascinated. Every time I see in 2024, people say, well, I met him a few times, or I've known him for 30 years. He wouldn't hurt a fly. He didn't beat his girlfriend. She just threw herself off a roof. Grow up.
Guys, hey, welcome back to another video. So it is a few days after Thanksgiving in Canada, and all is well. It is October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We are talking about safety planning and the types of abuse and what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship. So if that topic intrigues you, stay with me and we will talk about it. I'll give you some tips about safety planning, what to do, how to do it, how to do it safely, and an exit strategy. So if that's your cup of tea or cup of Hennessy, whatever, I will see you guys after the intro.
Yeah.
Into the tough topic of domestic violence and abuse. How are you guys doing? How are you enjoying fall so far? Even though the garden season is coming to a close, which is kind of bittersweet because, you know, there's the harvest was great this year. We had a lot of produce. We had a lot of fun doing it. But time to do more cozy indoor projects that you just probably don't have time to do in the summer, you know, like those deep cleaning, kind of getting into the nooks and crannies. What is a healthy relationship? Let's start at that point. What does it look like when you're in a healthy relationship? Well, healthy relationships inspire or facilitate trust between both parties or the parties involved. And they look like a comfortable space to be able to express yourself without judgment. They look like safety. They look like places where you can have your confidence held. They feel like respect, mutual respect. They also look like the parties have separate identities, so they're not swallowed up by each other. Additionally, they do not have violence or below the belt comments, demeaning comments, passive aggressive remarks. They do not have lack of communication. They usually have very clear communication, very loving communication. They usually have acceptance. According to researchers, a healthy relationship has 5 characteristics, and they're called the 5 A's. They are allowing, acceptance, affection, attention, appreciation. A relationship that has attention is going to be focused on the parties. Everybody's going to be feeling like they're loved, like they're cherished, and that their voices are heard. An affectionate relationship is going to be loving. The person's going to feel appreciated. They just kind of bleed together. An appreciative relationship will be the words used will demonstrate that the person actually appreciates you. They want to be with you. They want to hold you close. They don't want to lose you. And allowing relationships just create the space for people to just be themselves. You know, they trust themselves, they trust each other, and they show that. And finally, the affectionate ones. You know, you show love, you are very deliberate about showing love, respect, and mutuality, and having your separate personalities. So the next thing we are going to discuss is some myths and just outdated ideas. I'm going to be looking at my screen a lot, so forgive me. So one of the myths we hear is that time can heal wounds and unhealthy relationships, and that's not correct. Only putting in the work and making deliberate attempts to change can do that. Some people will say loyalty is about riding or dying, and that usually means that you're going to end up dying in this situation, or that you're going to be rode out and put away with. A lot of times people will say people are not vetting their partners, and if they did better vetting, they would have better relationships, and that's not correct, because you can't vet for the future. A lot of us are usually looking at the potential of the person, hoping for a better future, and people have the choice to change. Some people will say that people are avoiding red flags. While this might be the case in some situations, a lot of times people are not aware of the red flags or are aware of what to look for. Some people will say, as long as he comes home to me, it's okay, and allowing or justifying cheating, which is bonkers to me, because I'm thinking about STIs and the rates that are, going up, and I just don't believe that that's a great mindset. Some other myths that you will hear are domestic violence only happens in low-income families, and that's not correct. Dysfunction happens in all tax brackets. People will say that partners who are violent don't choose to be so, and that they, because anger is an emotion, they can't control it, and this is not a fact. Every action that we take, choice, and so we can choose better, and if we don't have the bandwidth to do so, then we need to choose to take action to get help, to help us have better coping skills. Some people believe that children who are not physically harmed by domestic violence will not have trauma, and that's not true. Children who witness or who can even hear things happening in the background will still be traumatized and will still have behavioral issues. There's not a lot of domestic violence. That's not true. It's just as bad as anywhere else in the world. And some people say that most fights are just bad arguments, and some people will even justify that, and that's not correct. Any screaming, yelling, name calling, those things are acts of violence. Even spreading rumors and gossiping is an act. The abuse cycle, let's talk about that. There are 4 stages that a person in a domestic violence situation goes through, and there are the calming phase, where everything is calm, it feels like the abuse has subsided, and the victim is hoping so. The person is acting maybe calmer, or maybe it's just not as tense. Then there's the tension building stage, where everything seems to be just triggering this person. They can't seem to get any peace. The abuser seems to be at war with themselves and everybody around them, and so the tension it's just building. Some abusers get really silent, and they become, they start using the silent treatment. Whatever tactic they use, the abuse victim will usually sense what's going on in the environment and know there's a shift. After that, there's the incident, where they will find any situation to harm. So now there are some people, people will show anger in 2 ways, either being passive or aggressive. The aggressive people are usually in 2 categories. They're either going to be aggressive emotionally, or they're going to be cognitively aggressive, meaning that they're going to be manipulative, they're going to be calculated, they're going to take their time, and they can use a lot of psychological abuse. And the final stage is the aftermath. After they've created the incident, they've done the abuse, done the act. Now they are in the stage of recovery. They feel better because they've released whatever overwhelming feelings they were having. They've passed it on to the victim, and now they're in the aftermath where the honeymoon phase will kick in, and it will feel like healing, but it's just the cycle. So the longer the person stays in the domestic violence situation, the harder it is, the less calm periods they'll have, and you'll just go straight into the next 3 stages. Let's talk about what self-love has to do with it. What self-love got? Okay. What does self-love have to do with abuse? Well, if we think about the concept of we attract who or what we are, and there is chaos inside of us, then that is going to be attracted. That's going to be attracted to us. So abusers are predators. They look for their prey. They're really great at observing, emotions, feelings, words. They're very good listeners, and they can usually pick up on, if you've got low self-worth, or if you've got any low self-regards and any self-concept issues. The way you treat yourself will indicate how you should be treated. So if we are loving ourselves and we're creating boundaries and we're saying, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, we're using I statements like, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. So in the future, I would appreciate it if you would do this differently. And if you can't, then maybe we should not have this situation further, right? It's having your boundaries, knowing being assertive and saying, this is what I need, and these are the consequences if that's not met, not because you are overriding anybody else's rights or beliefs or what they need, but just knowing what you deserve. So self-love has a lot to do with how to recover, or even getting out of it if you can safely get out, and then how you can recover when it's over, knowing, what, I didn't deserve this, I didn't cause this upon myself, this is not on me, and now I need to heal. Let's talk about safety planning. Now, I realized that I did not give a trigger warning, so I'm going to put one in the beginning of the video. It's going to be a written one or maybe a voiceover one. But at this point, we're going to go into, details about getting out safely and why you need a safety plan and an exit strategy. So to lighten it up a little bit, let's start with why you need a safety plan. You want a safety plan, whether you're 4B or you're still looking for a healthy relationship with a partner, with a male or female partner, you kind of still want to have a safety plan. In fact, relationships do not have an insurance plan. So this is your best bet to have some kind of assurance for yourself. It's like being a prepper or just a survivalist or someone who just wants to survive and you have a bug out bag. It's that kind of concept. So you also want to have a safety plan if you want to keep your family members, your loved ones, the vulnerable ones safe. If you want to get out of a bad relationship, or if you're just trying to get out of a relationship, period. Because some relationships don't turn sour until you're trying to exit. Threatened to harm themselves if you leave them, or all kinds of things. So if there is a threatening situation that feels dangerous, you should have a safety plan. If you're in a relationship with people, if you're interacting with people, have a safety plan. You never know when you'll need it. And talk to your children about it as well. Use it as an emergency exit strategy, like a fire safety plan, so that you can get out and meet up in a safe spot. If you've ever been in a relationship, you know that you can't avoid all, violence, aggressive, rage-filled scenarios. So it makes sense to have your strategies in place for what you're going to do if that were to occur. Right? So the first step is you want to decide when you will leave. So you'll, have it written down or in your head or wherever it is that you're stashing your safety plan. Decide doors, windows, elevators, stairwells, or fire escapes would be safe for me to exit the physical location. And consider your stamina and your abilities. So if you have 3 or 4 little young ones, you don't want to try to grab them up and run with them for an hour, because you wouldn't be able to manage that and you'll get caught. So plan it ahead, preemptively, and make sure that how do I get out of here? How can I grab my car keys? Or if I can't get my car keys, who can I go to? Which neighbor? Which which building? Where? How far is the police station from here? Are they open 24 hours? I don't know. Our police station is open 24 hours. Is there a hospital close by that I can get to by on foot? Those kinds of things. Just have a very cognizant plan of how do I get out of here if ish hits the fan. Another thing you want to include in your safety plan is the actual exit through the door. How fast can you get your keys? How fast can you get your bag? How fast can you get your kids out the door? Or do you need to use another route? Do you have to go through the kitchen where there's usually a lot of knives and weapons and things that could use to harm you? But keep in mind that anything could be used as a weapon. So as you're leaving, try to use speed. Speed is your friend. Make sure that you are practicing with your children like a fire drill, and keep decreasing your speed. So adding on to the previous point, if you even are the kind of person who won't have access to your car keys, you can have a second set stashed with a friend. Have some cash stashed with a friend or a trusted loved one or confidant. Tell someone, tell them about the violence, and request that if you call them or they hear certain things or they don't hear from you, that they should call for a wellness check or call the police. Have a code word with your trusted confidant and your children, and make it so that it's a code word that you guys keep together. You don't talk about it. They don't tell the abuser about it. Be very clear. Say this is for emergency. This is like a password, and you cannot give it to anyone. If this is going down and you hear me say this on the phone, start moving to the exit strategy. You want to make sure that your children are prepared. Make sure that they know your address, your phone number if they need to call 911. Make sure that they have the drill down in case they need to get out, because a lot of the times abusive partners will use children as negotiation. Make sure that your children have their code word locked in, and that they have a set of contacts, even one or two people. Memorize their phone numbers, and make sure you have that as well. So that's one of those things that is just in case of emergency, period. And I'm talking to myself here. In case of emergency, period, we should at least have contacts memorized so that we can, still access a payphone or use a landline somewhere to get her. Now, if you and your partner are separated and you're living in the same house, or not living in the same house, and you're not living in the same house, then you want to change the locks. You want to make sure that you've got a window screen, that you change your routine, especially if this person is aggressive, has been violent towards you, if they have a safety order or a personal protection order. You want to make sure that you've got, again, ladders to escape, like it's a fire. It's an emergency, so make sure you have the tools that you need to just get out of the situation. The final point I want to share with you guys is make sure that you secure and hide your safety plan. Start by not researching things on the home computer or on your phone or wherever the abuser has access. Because if you tick them off, or is that it? If you tip them off that you're going to be leaving, then you're changing the power setup, and that's going to cause problems, right? Especially if this person has imbalances that have not been treated, or mental health issues, or whatever it is, or they choose violence. Then if you tip them off that you're about to leave, you're going to get angry. Somewhere, stash it in your brain, send it to an alternate email address, go to the library and look for what you need to look for, have a friend look it up and send it to an email, Just whatever you need to do, have the resources in a place that you can access once you leave the home or you get out of the hot situation. Do not have counselors or shelters or anyone calling your phone, or if you sought help, don't let them leave messages on the phone. Sometimes people should know this stuff, but then they forget. Make sure that there's just someone close by that you can run to if there is a problem, so you can access the emergency services and just get out of the physical harm, in the physical danger that is imminent. To wrap up, excuse the background noise. They started cutting the lawn, the grass. Just know this: abuse is never the victim's fault. Right? It doesn't matter what society says about smart mouth women or lazy men, insubordinate children, unruly grandparents. Abuse is never the victim's fault. Someone who chooses violence is going to choose that no matter what you do or say. You are experiencing any kind of DV, any kind of abuse, or you're not even sure, there are some national resources that you can turn to, and I'm going to pop them up on the screen. Okay, so those are some of the resources that you can use to seek help, again, secretly. Make sure you're hiding the evidence of your research and the support that you are being given, because you don't want to exacerbate the situation. Okay, guys, so that is the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys will subscribe. I hope you will let me know in the comment what types of abuse were shocking to you, if you thought that it was just physical or mental, or what is your experience. You don't have to share your life story because boundaries, but let me know what your experience is of abuse and getting out, and if you have any other safety planning tips or how to exit safely. And that is pretty much it. So as I always say, be good to yourself, be well, be blissful, be balanced, and be loved. And I will see you guys next time. Walk good and subscribe.